On the channel today we have a very interesting watch. It's a brand new watch. It's called the Main Hudson Mark IV GMT. It's a 38mm, it comes with a Swiss movement, 300 meters of water resistance, and the finishing is absolutely amazing. It's not without its flaws, but overall a very decent package. Let's check this thing out. Welcome back, guys. So what we have in the hand here is from Main. It's the Hudson Mark IV GMT. It's a 38mm watch, and one of the first things that surprised me about this, well, I shouldn't say surprised me because I've had this is the second Main that I've actually reviewed on the channel. The quality of finishing, the quality of case, the quality of bracelet is phenomenal. In fact, it's right up there with any $5,000 watch on the current market. So I think attention to detail, quality, brushing, beveling, high polish, it's wonderful. It's really done well. So firstly, I want to thank Main for sending this watch out for us to have a look at. It's going to be available for pre-orders. We're getting in early so I can show you guys this watch, see what you think, make up your judgment. So what I measure is a case diameter of exactly 38mm. The case height I measure at 11.9mm, even though the specs say 12.5. We have a lug-to-lug distance of 46.4 and a lug width of 20mm. Now the crown is a 6.8mm signed screw down crown, and it features 300 meters of water resistance, and the total weight on this bracelet sized to my 18cm wrist comes in at exactly 130 grams. Now being a 38mm watch, as you can see, the footprint, not a problem. It sits really well. Even that lug to lug of 46.4, it's a super comfortable experience. I've enjoyed it on this bracelet because the bracelet tapers from 20mm all the way down to 15.8. A very finesse experience, and I'm going to talk about that later on. But looking at the overhead, you can see the watch is sitting very comfortably on the wrist, and even that height, the specifications say 12.5mm, I can measure only 11.9 to the top of that sapphire crystal. So it's been a pleasurable experience on the wrist, it's been a comfortable experience on that bracelet. And speaking of that bracelet, the articulation is fantastic. The way this thing sits, it falls straight down, as you can see, female end links. It's got screw pins. It's a combination of brushed and high polished, really well executed, fully milled clasp, as you can see, and a single click with twin triggers to release. It also has 4 micro adjustments. So I've not had issues with comfort. Having that taper of 20 to 15.8, the classic vintage taper, it's wonderful. It actually sits really comfortably on the wrist. But not only that, the execution and finishing is on par with the actual case. And as you can see, the case, you've got very fine brushing, high polished bevels. It's just done to a high standard. Now looking at the crystal of this watch, it's a single dome sapphire, and for me it features a bit of distortion, but it's also picking up quite a bit of reflections. Now being a pre-production model that I have here, there's a couple of little changes that they might be making. One of them is the lume, which I know. The sapphire itself, they'll probably be putting a little bit more AR, because at the moment, as you can see, it's picking up quite a bit of reflections. Now if we move our attention to the bezel, it's a 120 click unidirectional bezel. It has an aluminium insert, and as you can see, it's a dual color. You've got a black and a sort of a browny color, very root beer inspired. You know, you've got your night and your day, and the action of this is actually really good. But I've noticed because the bezel is so fine, so delicate, the grip area is quite small. But in saying that, it's grippy. So let's have a listen to it. Nice, little bit of back play, and it lines up perfectly. So the action is very good, very precise. I like it. It's a small bezel. Like I said, it's a 38mm watch, so finding grip areas is one thing, but once the actual knurling on it is so good that it does grip, which is a plus. Now if I unscrew that crown, it's a 6.8mm screw down crown, excellent knurling, same as that bezel, so very easy to grip. One pull and nothing's changed. As you can see, that second hand is still moving. We haven't hacked it, but I can change the GMT hand. So I can set this to whatever time zone I want, and we can potentially lock it in. I won't lock it in because that was turning clockwise, as you can see. If I turn anti-clockwise in that same position, we can adjust that date. 24th, 25th, 26th. And you can lock it in. Nothing's changed. Like I said, we haven't hacked the movement. 2 clicks, 1, 2, that's when we can hack the movement, and that's when we can adjust the actual time. And as you can see, the GMT hand will follow the time that I set as it trails behind. So a very, very cool watch for basically 2 different time zones, but you can also track a 3rd time zone with that rotating bezel, as you've got night and day and the different times. Now the winding experience of the watch, as you'd expect from a Swiss movement, very nice. And the latch down experience, first time it latches on, it's buttery smooth and it locks in, and you got 300 meters of water resistance. Pretty decent for a 38mm watch. Now before we get onto the positives and negatives of this watch, I'll tell you its launch date, its pricing details and so forth. What they've given me is basically the first 150 orders will be able to get this watch at the VIP price. After that, they've got a 10-day pre-order which will be available for purchase on that pre-order price, and then it goes to retail. So I'll leave the links in the description. They're basically planning on launching this watch approximately mid-December, but like I said, I'll leave the links. You keep an eye on their website, they can send you updates. Now let's talk about the positives and negatives. First off, the negatives. For me, potentially the price. I say that because it looks a little bit expensive. However, it is finished absolutely beautifully. From the Swiss movement to the actual finishing of that case, the bracelet, the articulation of that bracelet, it really is. I've got watches in the $5,000–6,000 range. It's finished exactly the same. So I shouldn't really complain as far as the price is concerned, because the quality does seem to be on par with watches in about the $5,000 mark. Second negative, I'd have to say the sapphire crystal. For me, it being a single dome, there is quite a bit of distortion on acute angles, as you can see, but it's also picking up quite a bit of reflection. So hopefully that will be rectified with a little bit more anti-reflective coating on the production version. That's one of the things that's bugged me throughout the week, was the amount of reflections that glass has picked up. And another potential negative, which I haven't spoke of, is the lume. See, I haven't given you guys a lume shot yet because the lume is pretty much so-so. And I've spoken to Main and they've said to me that it's going to have X1 Super Luminova. It's going to be nice and bright. At the moment, it's a pre-production version, and because of that, it's not fully spec'd up with the X1 Super Luminova. But move away from all that, the positives of the watch, exceptionally finished. And I can't stress enough on how well this watch is finished, from the case, the bracelet, the articulation, the way this thing wears and sits and feels. Fantastic. So it's right up there in the finishing department, no issues. Very good movement with that Swiss SOP rod. High beat, it's been accurate, it's been stable. Another positive is the footprint of this watch. I've enjoyed it on the wrist, being 38mm, even that height. The specifications say 12.5, I only measure 11.9. So it's been a really good experience. The crown action, the crown knurling, the bezel action, very nice. So a decent package. I'll leave all the links in the description, guys. You can check them out. Hopefully they can give you email updates, but this is the Main Hudson Mark IV GMT in 38mm. A very well finished watch, a very well sized watch as well. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you all in the next video.